QnA.com, which is totally unimportant, but I just want to say this is a real honor to present this presentation to you. For those of you that, of course, I'm sure all of you here have a recollection of this movie. I know I remember it well. Invaders from Mars was one of those movies that I think is always going to stay with us. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the original, but of course Tobe's vision is something that I think was in a lot of ways very iconic, and it's going to stay with us for a long time. And we are lucky enough to have with us today three very important people in the process of making this movie. So I'm going to bring them up, and we're going to take some questions from the audience. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you Tobe Hooper, Karen Black, and Hunter Carson. Shared microphone. Here we go. So we'll have you guys pass this back and forth. Just to kind of kick this off, Tobe, this was a film, this and Life Force. Now, this was a film that you had to. You've talked before about how you did these films to kind of allow yourself to then follow it up with the Texas Chainsaw movie. But this was Invaders from Mars, particularly, was something you were really passionate about doing. Can you talk a little bit about where that stems from? Was it just your love of science fiction movies?
Well, no, the Cameron Minzy version I loved as a kid, and the whole thing about betrayal, and the parents can even go against you, and terrified me. So I wanted to do it, and the guys from the studio, I went back to London to mix Life Force. And they called and said, we love the script. Does it have to be from Mars? I said, well, but no. I tried to stay really true to the design, the fence that goes over the hill. So it was a passion.
And talk a little bit about bringing in Hunter and Karen.
Well, I was in London and doing Life Force, and Karen dropped by L Street Studio to say hello, and she said that I've known Hunter before he was born. And
wait, what?
Yeah, no, that's true. No, and Karen said that Hunter's in a movie, in a Invaders film that's shooting right now. And I saw that film, and I said, let's get together. And so that's how it happened.
Now, Hunter and Karen, can you guys tell us just a little bit about your recollection from working on the film, some of the memories that you had, good or bad?
It was all good memories for me, actually. I had a really, really good time.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. Make sure we get plenty of pictures of that. No, it was a blast, actually. Working on any sort of feature that had special effects in that era was great, because these special effects were real. There were no green screens. There was nothing like that. Working with the great group of people that Tobe had put together was just a ton of fun. And I really got so much out of being on a film set when I was a kid and learning about it, that it's just carried me through my life. And a lot of working on movies has prepped me for working on films today, which is I've made a career out of. So the recollections I have are all good. We were shooting in Malibu. It was fantastic. We were shooting in an old airplane hangar down south of Los Angeles, where they built the Spruce Goose. That was fantastic. And everybody was very cool. Everybody was having a really good time. You could tell.
Hunter got the part first. And then Menachem Golan, sometimes called Menahem Golan, that's an in joke, decided it would be interesting if I would play the nurse, because the mother and the son would be in that movie together. I had a really terrible time about makeup, because until that movie I had never worn any base on my face. Are there any women in this room who care about makeup? One, that's enough. I'm going to talk about makeup. And the makeup man wouldn't let me do my own makeup, and that's why I have these sort of like black eyes and powdery face. It was wonderful working with my son. He's a great actor. And he reminds me, yeah, but in a sense, of David Carradine, because when you work with David Carradine in a scene, you cannot see what he's doing. I mean, he didn't do anything. Oh, hi, David, you didn't do anything in that scene. And then when you see the scene, he's incredible because he has this incredible communication with the audience, which is, of course, invisible. And when you see then you see the scene, and it's great. And you didn't, but he's one of those actors, you don't see him doing it at the time, you just see it when the movie's done. And I loved working with Tobe, it was wonderful. And I loved going on television with my son when we would do promotion for the movie together. And I thought it was awfully odd that the monsters were walking backwards. I never understood that. I didn't know how they could see where they were going. I still don't know how they could possibly see where they were going. And then there was some kind of a thing where this huge thing was coming down on me. I thought that was so sexual. Wow, this is really, I feel like Catherine the Great or something. Anyway, what else? Tobe had a lot to tolerate because sometimes people are really crazy when they're doing things. They don't think of things, and then it's the director's responsibility to make it all go right and be perfect and be great and work. Sometimes people don't do that. Only the director does it. And so they handed him, I'll never forget the moment, this gun. It was like a really snazzy, like science fiction gun. It looked like an eye. Oh my God, it's a great gun. Except that there was this big kind of tube coming out of it. It's like a bathroom plumbing tube sticking out. It was supposed to attach to something, but of course you could see it. So you had an eye with a plumbing bathroom thing. And anyhow, he suffered a lot. What is this? How can I shoot with this? Oh, yeah, you can see that. Okay, what else?
Actually, can I tell them about the monsters?
Oh, yeah.
I was enamored with monsters and sci-fi when I was a kid. When you'll watch it, if you'll watch the monsters, they're walking forward, but the knee joint bends backwards. And I was like, man, how do you do that, Tobe? What's going on? What's the deal? And he goes, well, come over here and look. So we go over to the monster suit, and there's this gigantic bodybuilder in there, And I'm a child, so everybody looks giant to me. And these huge bodybuilders are in there, and they're walking backwards, and that's why the joint looks opposite the way it should. It goes because their knee is going backwards, and they have these monitors that they're watching as they walk backwards, and the nose of the creatures had little cameras that you couldn't tell were cameras, but if you got really close like I did, you get up to really close to the creature. There were two little cameras that would look out the front, so it was really kind of ingenious. And I've always wondered, why did you want them to walk with the opposite knee joint?
Okay, so I checked. What happened? One, two.
I think it's just soft. Yeah, just,
Okay, well, yeah. So yeah. Okay, so Rick Baker was going to do the film, or thinking about it, and Rick said, some project he took, and then Rob Bottin was going to do it, and they all were kind of selling Stan Winston. And it was before Stan Winston, started the marathon run, to grab his Oscar, and so both Rob Bottin and Rick knew that I wanted something special, and for some damn reason I wanted like a little guy or two people in a suit, and I wanted to try it out. So Stan came over to visit, and as though it was Stan's idea, he showed me a sketch of two people in a suit, and he had it all figured out. Of course, they didn't have hands, so there was some kind of magical business going on there, and that also became a choice in the production design that Les Dealey did, that Les had done The Abyss. He did, he did. I think he may have done Titanic, Terminator. He did. And so anyway, so Stan got the job, and in the middle of production, he left his people there, and he went off with Cameron to do Aliens, and then he started winning those statues. I thought God love Stan, but I thought he would break a leg at one point running up to the podium to go. So that was actually the biggest set built in Hollywood. The interior of that spaceship was built in the airport hangar that the Spruce Goose was constructed in, and so it was the largest set since Intolerance, and so it was huge. It was made of foam. We almost had a fire at one time, which would have taken out half of Long Beach had it really caught, because there was a hell of a lot, and all those tunnels and all. It was way cool. And as Hunter said, the guys were looking at lenses, looking through a little monitor built in the tube, and had they missed, they would have fallen 40 feet off this incredible platform. And so, I don't know, maybe I covered that?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool.
One last question that I had, and then I know you guys have got some questions I want to turn over to you, but you mentioned fire. And Karen, there was a moment in the film where I remember reading a rumor that there was maybe a special effect or something that accidentally singed your hair. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That was Michael Jackson.
It wasn't Michael Jackson.
I have, however, a hair on fire story that involves Tobe.
Yeah.
Right. Can we hear that?
So I was invited to a New Year's Eve party a few years ago, and I really wanted Tobe to come meet these guys because I thought they were wonderful people. They're from Australia and very great artists. And so he came to the party, and I was so glad he was there. And I kind of lost track of him, and I went into this beautiful living room, and there was a kind of a table just behind my chair with different things on it, lovely little things to look at, and candles and so on. And I was sitting, he's already got it. And I was sitting there, and I heard this funny sound. I went, and Tobe walked into the room. Oh, hi, Tobe. Gee, where have you been? Your hair is on fire, Karen. Oh, that's what that sounded. I think I had too much champagne.
I leaped across the table and started slapping the hell out of Karen all over her head, and smoke was coming up. Oh my God. No, my point of view was she was glowing. And I was like, what the hell is going on? At first, my first take was like, she's on fire. It's like some kind of radiation coming up. And then I dove on her and started.
Looked very pretty afterwards.
Yeah. No, you left, and then I left shortly after that. But that was awesome. That was like, I don't know. At that particular time, you just go for it, man. It's there.
Well, let's open it up to some questions for you guys. Who has a question here that they'd like to ask? Raise your hand. Nobody has a question? Oh, here we go.
One of the best special effects was the sand thing. Did anybody get hurt? Doing that thing? Because it looked dangerous.
I think it probably was dangerous. But Les Dealey had designed it, and I can't really tell you how it works because I really don't know. But it was this big spinning turntable that had a hole in it, but something was persuading the sand to go down in it, and gravity. And the stunt people would go down into it, and it was pretty awesome, and they would do it over and over again.
Nobody got hurt though.
No one got hurt, but it it looked to me like, you know, the possibility was there.
I can make up a story about somebody who got hurt.
Question? Sir?
Well, I know that working with my parents on even the most meniest of tasks tends to be a pain, and I was wondering if there was any points in time during the movie shoot where the mother-son dynamic tend to blow up a little bit.
Just in my own opinion. And you can have your opinion too. In my own opinion, it was kind of relaxing because working with, being an actor and working with other actors is interesting because you literally meet another actor, you know, a few weeks before you have to spend, you know, an entire feature film with them. And I had already had a relationship with my mother because she's my mother. And it was actually kind of relaxing in doing scenes because it was very natural to, you know, banter back and forth and whatnot. But I mean, I was on the set a whole lot more than my mom was. So there was plenty of times that she wasn't even around. But the scene building, which is what you're talking about, the character building and the scene building was very, very natural.
Well, he had very good manners, I thought. Because he and my daughter, you know, do the same thing. Mom, cut it out. Mom, quit it. You know, they all do that, don't they? Don't kids all do that? Stop it, they know better, you know. And when I'm acting, I'm a bit of a free spirit, and he put up with it very well. Like I'd say, okay, guys, now I have to be I'd say this to the crew, right? The camera's over here, the crew people are standing there, and we're about to shoot a scene in which I have to be extremely frightened. Well, I can't just be frightened all of a sudden when the camera rolls. I have to get frightened before the camera rolls. So, yeah, I'm going to scream now very, very loudly. Hunter, I'm going to scream now. Mom's going to scream very, very loudly. Okay? Yes, Mom. He was very mannerly. No, but then the camera would roll and I'd be frightened. It worked very well. Anyhow, I always feel very shiny and sunny around him. And so when we would work together, I'd feel happier than normal. And when we would, as I say, go out and do little television promo things together, I would be just ordinary until he walked in and sat next to me, then I would shine.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on. Aww. Anybody else have a question? Right back there. All right.
Wait, there was one injury on that. And it was when Hunter got a little too close to the damn thing when it was spinning, and I reached for Hunter, but Karen leaped about 20 feet or so and grabbed him, and my arm got in between Hunter and Karen, and I was screaming. I mean, for God's sake, you're breaking my arm. That's as close.
It was worth it.
Okay.
Oh, I'd say so. Yeah, no, that thing was...
Sudden broke your arm, you know.
Oh, no, Karen. I mean, I don't know if you remembered that or not.
I didn't. I actually
You didn't? No. But anyway, yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tobe, was it a hard transition going from 5 dark, atmospheric horror movies in a row to all of a sudden doing science fiction movies like Life Force and Invaders from Mars?
I only intended to do one horror film, and so no, it wasn't. I really wanted to do a lot more comedy than I had an opportunity to do, and so it was like refreshing, you know. And Invaders was like a PG movie, and I didn't have many of those, so no.
Well, yeah.
Next question. Nobody? Oh, sorry. Here we go.
It's not a true question, but I just want to thank you on behalf of all the kids that grew up in the 80s, providing such a fantastical, outlet for our imaginations, and put ourselves in your shoes, and what would we do if we woke up one morning and our parents were acting strangely with Band-Aids on our necks, and it was just a great thing to have growing up.
You're welcome. Far out, man. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question before we... we have one right here. Here we go.
Out of all the special effects guys out there, who do you prefer working with? Who do you feel is the most fantastic special effects guy that you would trust with your projects?
There are a lot of good people out there. I mean, CG or practical?
Either.
Dennis Murin, I think, CG is, and opticals. I love the opticals because there was still something organic about the opticals, and so that would have been Richard Edlunds and John Dykstra. John, way good. Made several movies with John. Today, there are a lot of good people. And each year as the equipment, and the technology improves, it gets even better.
Right here.
This isn't really about Invaders from Mars, but more on Poltergeist. Can you talk about what it was like to work on that and some of the troubles you might have had with some of the special effects and getting the shots that you needed?
Well, that was all. Thank God that was all optical effects, and it went up to ILM. Edlunds was doing it. One of the, I think, chasing the sun going down. There was a particular shot where Craig Nelson drives home, and the sky is boiling in the background, and it was getting too late to shoot that one scene, but was able to do it, and that film went, it had like a 90-day shooting schedule, and it came in something like 5 days short of that, but that was a time where you could make 5 shots a day, so it was very, very cool. Like the chairs stacking up on the table was a practical effect, and it took 4 hours to rehearse pulling the chairs in and into the closet where Marty pulls his face off, and then out the back door. There were two effects guys. It took 8 effects guys. That on the soundtrack, when the camera pans over with Joe Beth to go get the 409 or whatever it is she's getting in the kitchen, it sounded like a cattle stampede on the track, people running. And right beside the camera was the chair configuration was screwed together and super glued together. And so when the camera panned, they ran out and everyone pulled chairs away and disappeared. But no, it took so long to make. I can't remember problems. There was plenty of time making it. And no one got hurt.
Sir?
Yes, it was just concerning the promotion of Invaders and Life Force. Do you feel they were both pretty much just dumped by the studio? When I saw them, there wasn't much promotion, and there was hardly anybody in the audience for either film.
Yeah, no, it was, I think that had to do with, I don't remember, I think Canon Films distributed the movies themselves, and they didn't know that there is an art to that, and I think they kind of blew it, and so I think that's what happened.
Anyone else?
What's your favorite movie that you've done?
Well, I must say some of the films that I've made that I personally didn't like, I do like now. And it's really tough to say. You know,
like, what's the top couple, 2 or 3 maybe?
Well, you know, I have to go to really the last thing I made. It's kind of always the thing. Like the damn thing for the Masters of Horror I like. So, because you never stop learning. You shouldn't. You should never stop being a student of it. And so the next thing should always have something else that you learn. And you know, of course, Chainsaw was, you know, I was like on fire, you know, with passion. But through different stages, you know, there are different priorities in your life and what you intend to do. And some of the things that I thought, you know, I used to think, okay, a film is worthy according to the box office, just like everyone else in Hollywood, you know. And then 5 years go by, and that's forgotten, and then, you know, I'm looking at it through a whole different color. And so I really don't know.
Okay, right here.
This is a question for Tobe Hopper. What is your opinion on, as a director with special effects, do you prefer CGI or the animatronics and props?
Well, CGIs are getting good, you know, but still, you know, well, I liked 300 a lot, and I thought that Zack Snyder did a great job. And with possibly for the actors working inside a space that's all green may not be fair, you know, for them, that the space is different, there's almost nothing there. I mean, it's done all the time. I've been against, you know, on stage, I mean, a black curtain and such. But, you know, I like mechanical effects and I like optical effects, but I have to like CGI and digital too, because it's getting good and it's there. You know, it's like maybe I don't know, maybe it will find its place, like plastic found its place, and I mean that in a good sense. You know, when plastic started working its way into the automobiles, it was at first it was plastic for wood paneling, and then when it got to be plastic for plastic, it was great. And so I think that's what, you know, is happening in the digital world. So, you know, I like it all.
Okay.
I did a movie in January by Alex Cox, who did Repo Man. Does anyone remember?
Yeah.
Well, this is the sequel. It's called Repo Chick. And, you know, they didn't offer me a lot of money, and I read it. I thought, this is a $50 million movie. They're on a train. They're running through the desert. They're going through downtown L.A., and now I'm a homeless person instead of a rich person because my house has been repossessed by my niece, who is Repo Chick. You know, and then it was all green screen. Every shot was green screen. We had like 3 chairs, and then the whole house that I'm supposed to live in, the library, the afternoon light, the window, everything. And I got to tell you, it wasn't that easy to act in that. Because if you're a rich person in a library, you know, you own this library, you own the light coming in the window, you feel complacent and you feel like, you know, uppity. It really helps. You're sitting in a chair, and there's a great big thing in front of you, and Alex Cox is way over there, and there's just green around you, and it's harder to act. You know, that's all.
Well, this actually leads into a question that I wanted to ask all 3 of you, and that is that in this day and age of movies that are so CGI heavy, and you're coming off of, you know, a film like Invaders from Mars, where you were just saying, Tobe, you had the largest set in LA. You know, there was all these makeup effects and costuming effects. Does it feel like films nowadays are losing charm a little bit? They're not as organic maybe to watch because you know there's that little thing in your brain that tells you that's not real. I mean, even though it looks great, it's not real, and I can't reach out and touch it. Do you think maybe that hurts films nowadays?
I think it depends what effect you want to create. You know, in Driving Miss Daisy, when they were not going to find their way to that 90-year-old's birthday party, and she was distressed, that was as profoundly emotional for me as when the Robotron electrics kind of walk into the building and smash in little pieces, you know. So if you want to create an effect of a kind of a physiological shock and absorption because you are kind of upset about what might happen next, that works great. But if you want to have a human movie where people cry and sweat and lose people and long for things, I don't think it matters. That's my...
But, yeah, you know, yeah, you do know it isn't there, and that's the thing to get over. And if there is a mixture, you know, of reality, and I mean, you know, we can do anything now, but you still know it isn't necessarily there or that way. You know, I think films we're going through a thing where super budget movies are really hurting the emotionality of films because a hell of a lot more time is spent in the look than in the emotional content or the emotional interaction with the film.
It's all style and no substance.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you know, we're going through this period in cinema that hopefully there will be a renaissance that will get us out of this. So.
We have one more here.
Speaking of, you mentioned something about not being able to reach out and touch things. I noticed that 3D is the big trend now in Hollywood. A lot of big producers and directors are signing on for 3D. Ever considered doing a film in 3D?
Yeah, I have considered doing it 3D, but you know, 3D will come and will go. You know, and right now it's making money, so it's here, and it makes a lot of money in IMAX, and so it's here. And but it, you know, I like the two-camera process. I mean, the interpolation in the computer that makes 3D now. There's also something psychologically strange about that for me. If it's polarized 3D rather than red and green, you know, it's better. But the old process with two cameras, where it was you know like actual 3D, I preferred. But you know, I may do something, but I mean it's here because it makes money, and so you know, and that's what it's all about. To it is a business. But it's also an art.
Karen Hunter, would you guys like to add to that? Oh, I was just saying, how you feel about films nowadays with a lot of CGI as opposed to the organic?
I sort of
you pretty did. You covered it.
I am.
Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss anything.
I think the best work that a person can do in the arts is to not know. You don't quite know what's going to happen next, really. You don't really know what the other actress, you don't remember what the other actor's going to say. And I think what happens with enforced visuals, let's call them, you sort of enforced to have these visuals, is you lose the wonder. You lose not knowing. You know, that incredible space, a moment where you could fly or fall, you know, it's gone.
Yeah.
You're going to fly.
Well, I just have to say, yes, applaud that. I just have to say that every Saturday night I get together with a group of guys and we watch old monster movies, and when I told them that I was going to moderate this Q&A today, they were like, you son of a bitch. So big hand for Karen Blackletter, Carson, and Tobe Hooper, ladies and gentlemen. please come visit them at their tables. They will be signing shortly.